Alright, welcome to Talkin' Investing. I am Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I'd like to talk to you about Bit Digital, stock ticker BTBT. They are a Bitcoin mining company. I have a lot of news on Bit Digital. Something is going on over there. Something has changed in the last 90 days, so I want to update the previous video that I made. I want to go through what's going on and what I think it means. So we talk about Bitcoin, Bitcoin miners all the time on this channel. If that's content you're interested in, please remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Also, if everybody could smash the like button, I would appreciate it. It helps the channel a lot. Okay, let's talk about Bit Digital and let's see what's going on. They just put out their June operational update, and the operational update itself was not really very good news. So I'm going to start there, but I'm going to tell you, I do think something is changing, and I'm going to go through that because it looks to me like they may be turning a corner here, and they are about a full year into struggling. And the last video that I did was labeled bad news, and they went from giving us no news at all for a long time to giving us an update that their production was off. I'm going to tell you some new news that's happened over the last few months that I think is painting a different picture. All right, very quickly, just to put things in perspective, I want to go back in time a little bit. This was over a year ago. This is a press release that they put out in April 29th, 2021. So again, that is over 1 year ago. Bit Digital announces production and mining operations update for the first quarter of 2021. So we just finished the second quarter of 2022 for reference. So I'm just going to go through these bullet points. The company earned 1,013 Bitcoin in the first quarter. So that's over 300 Bitcoin a month at that point that they were producing according to this report. So they then say the company owned 40,965 miners at March 31st, 2021 with a maximum total hash rate of 2.26 exahash. So this was in April of 2021. They were at 2.26 exahash. So I will tell you, fast forward, all these machines were in China. So at some point shortly after this press release, they were asked to turn all of their machines off and relocate them effectively. So that was obviously a major shakeup in the company. What I did not suspect was that 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months later, they still would not have the vast majority of these machines plugged in, and their production would still be down in the neighborhood of 80% off of the numbers we're talking about right now. Okay, so now fast forward exactly 1 year. This is April 29th, 2022. This is literally exactly 1 year later. Bit Digital announces Bitcoin production and mining operations for the first quarter of 2022. Okay, the company earned 194 Bitcoin and 189 Ethereum. So 194 Bitcoin. Remember, in the first quarter of 2021, they said that they earned 1,013 Bitcoin. So that's more than an 80% reduction in their production from Q1 2021 to Q1 2022. So that is an absolute disaster. So it was at this point that I was looking at this and not feeling good about Bit Digital at all. The next bullet point I want to talk about is, as of March 31st, 2022, 36.9% of our fleet, or 9,748 Bitcoin miners, representing 0.544 exahash. So it's now a year later, and they've gone from 2.264 exahash to 0.54 exahash. So again, a drastic reduction. So the question becomes now, 12 months later, where are these machines? When are they going to get plugged in, if ever? In April of 2022, they started giving monthly updates. And in my last video, I did talk about the fact that they're now giving us information is a big improvement. Even though initially the information was not good at all, for them to catch their investors up on what's going on was critical. And subsequent to that, they have now been issuing a monthly operational report, just like most of the rest of their peers in the Bitcoin mining industry. So that's the first thing that's a major shift in my opinion. However, unfortunately, if we look at April's results, they earned 76 Bitcoin. So that was actually a little bit more than they averaged in the first quarter. They averaged just over 60 in the first quarter. So now they have 76 in April. Still not good for a company that was doing about 330 a year ago. Corporate highlights for May. In May of 2022, the company earned 53.4 Bitcoin. So it got worse. This was maybe their worst month in years. From a production standpoint, this all looks deeply concerning. So they have 54 Bitcoin that they mined. They then go on to say miner deployments. During the month of May and subsequent to month end, the company continued to work with our hosting partners to deploy miners. Okay, now it's now been well over a year since our initial report. 17.9% of our current owned fleet, or 6,114 Bitcoin miners, representing 0.352 exahash, was deployed in North America at May 31st, 2022. That was less than they had deployed at March 31st, 2022. So they actually, over the course of the next 2 months, went backwards. They had less machines plugged in and they were mining less Bitcoin. So I know so far all of this sounds very bad, but I promise you that actually the story does get better in my opinion. Here we go, July 12th. They put this out after hours yesterday, and I'm making this video before the market opens today. So Bit Digital announces monthly production update for June 2022. Corporate highlights. In June, the company earned 67.6 Bitcoin and 0 Ethereum. So, okay, 67 Bitcoin in the month of June. That is still a big problem. So this is the most recent report, and from a production standpoint, this is still not a good number. We're still off almost 80% from where they were in March of 2021, well over a year ago. However, if I go back to the April 29th first quarter update, so this is at the end of the first quarter in 2022. One of the things they say is the company owns 27,644 Bitcoin miners with an estimated maximum total hash rate of 1.6 exahash. Now, we know those weren't all plugged in, but that's what they say they owned. Now, that was like the 7th month in a row they reported that very same number. And most of those months, actually, they did not report anything. But this number had not gone up in very close to a year. In fact, it was actually less than it was a year ago. So now if I go to the June 2022 update that they put out yesterday, they now say the company owns 38,135 Bitcoin miners with an estimated maximum total hash rate of 2.7 exahash per second. So that's an extra 11,000 miners and an extra 1.1 exahash. So here's why I think that represents a gigantic turning point in this company. Back in October of 2021, they put out this press release. Bit Digital announces agreement to purchase 10,000 Antminers from Bitmain. So still, as of March of 2022, they had received 0 of these machines. So this was one of my big concerns, right? For them to move forward, not only had they not plugged the machines in that they owned previously, they had not gotten any of these machines, these new machines that were promised. As of April 27th, so the rest of this, of course, was as of March 31st, which was quarter's end. So they had their 27,644 machines. Then they say as of April 27th, the company owned 30,865 Bitcoin miners with an estimated maximum total hash rate of 1.9 exahash. As of the date of this press release, the company has received 2,515 machines pursuant to its previously announced 10,000 unit purchase agreement with Bitmain Technologies. The final installment is expected to ship in June of 2022. The pro forma for the announced purchase, our maximum total hash rate is expected to be approximately 2.67 exahash. Here by the end of April, they have finally started receiving these 10,000 machines that are going to give them an extra exahash, and not only an extra hash, but of the new latest and greatest machines. They say at this point they've received 2,500 of these machines. They now have all 10,000 of these machines, and they are now at 2.7 exahash of machines on hand. So they are not all plugged in. However, that is a gigantic first step because those machines are all bought and paid for. All right, so in the June update that just came out yesterday, they say miner deployments. During the month of June, the company continued to work with hosting partners to deploy miners. 23% of our currently owned fleet, or 8,990 Bitcoin miners, representing 0.76 exahash, was deployed in North America as of June 30th. So that is a significant increase from the 0.35 exahash from the previous month. They then go on to say 1.06 exahash was deployed by July 3rd, 2022. So again, if I go back just 1 month earlier, they were at 0.352 exahash. So in 1 month, they've managed to triple their exahash to 1.06 exahash as of July 3rd. So now the question is, they have a total capacity of 2.7 exahash. So they have 1.7 exahash more machines that they need to find a place to host, get hosting agreements, get them plugged in, up, and operational. However, whereas as of my last video, when they had basically accomplished none of that and they were still actually going backwards, some of the agreements they had were getting undone, we can see it looks to me like there's been a big shift in the month of June. All of a sudden, they have all 10,000 of their brand new machines. Now they've got over an exahash plugged in. And whereas they've been averaging about 60 Bitcoin per month over the last pretty much year, if they can do things right, sometime in the next 90 to 120 days, they'll be back to producing 300 Bitcoin per month, which is where they said they were, well over a year ago. So to me, that represents a fundamental shift. This is a company that I was extremely worried about. However, it looks to me like they have made it through the most difficult part of whatever they had going on. I'm just going to quickly show you their balance sheet as of March 31st. You can see They had $78 million in current assets. They had $169 million in total assets, and they only had $7.7 million in total liabilities. So from this side of the equation, this company was still doing just fine. However, 12 months into a lack of operations, a complete lack of operations, you had to begin to wonder what was going on. But it looks like in the last 60 to 90 days, they've turned that around dramatically. So now they sit with this nice balance sheet and an exahash of machines up and running with 2.7 potential to get operational, hopefully, in the next 60, 90, 120 days. And again, if they do that, they'll likely be mining over 300 Bitcoin, and they will have come full circle and finally be back to the company that people thought they were a year and a half ago. So this is not a ringing endorsement of Bit Digital, but I do think it's a fundamental shift. So I'm not saying they're going to skyrocket. In fact, this is not financial advice at all. So I'm not telling you to buy this stock or sell this stock or anything. But I will say it does look like they've made some fundamental gains in the last 60 days. If we look at the big picture, I'm just going to spend a minute on the charts. This is the 1 week chart. These guys peaked in December of 2020. So that was about 20 months ago now. You can see from that point until today, they're down about 95%. So I think we can understand why. In addition to the fact that Bitcoin is down quite a bit and all the Bitcoin miners are down somewhere around 90%, I think we can understand why Bit Digital is down a little bit more than their peers. So even since February of 22, that was just 5 months ago, Bit Digital is down 72%. So that is a dramatic pullback, and you can see obviously that corresponds with the dip in Bitcoin, but also the April and May monthly operational updates were not good. I do think that there is a chance if Bitcoin can find its footing, that Bit Digital will find its footing at $1.50 here and have the potential to maybe make some of this lost ground up. So I do think there's some potential upside. Even if we just go back to May 4th, so that was just a little over 2 months ago, that would be 50% upside if they could get back to just about $2.35. So I'm not even going to look at any price targets past that. I would like to see some more monthly operational updates where they actually show, next month maybe they mine 100 Bitcoin and then 150 and then 200. We need to see that progress. Everything seems to be lined up. They're representing that that's what's going to happen. So I'd like to see that happen over the next 90 days. And I think if it does, there will be some decent gains in the price of this stock, particularly if Bitcoin can get just a little bit healthy. So again, this is not financial advice. Please be very careful. This company's down 95% off of its highs from just a little over a year and a half ago. So obviously a very, very volatile stock. They've yet to actually execute, but it looks like they may be poised to have a good 90-day run. So that's my update on Bit Digital. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it this far, remember to subscribe to the channel and smash the like button, and we will see you in the next video.